north. So I'll just keep going, because this is now the president's. Okay, I think that means that it's still recording. But so let's just keep going. Yeah, it's still flashing. So there is President Nixon with his Springer Spaniel that with those bulldogs was brought across on the Mayflower. The bulldogs are called the mighty mastiffs of the Mayflower, and the Springers are used, and they are spaniels, and I forget why they are part of the biblical jokes, but that is the religious families that came across not just to launch Christianity into America, but to cull every pagan that worshipped the sun god. You can take the boy, and they sailed from Scrooby, and that is on the coast where the Humber Bridge is, and that is why the Humber Bridge was taken by the Auf Wiedersehen team to Las Vegas, because all of them think that it is undiscoverable that Jimmy Nail in that team is a Pilgrim father, but he is. Yeah? And there is William Brewster, Pilgrim leaders, and that is the Brewsters that, like Finlay Calder, played for Stuart Melville, who I met and chatted to friendlily in the clubhouse at Dundee University. But this week there was no body double for Jeremy Clarkson, because all of them have been backed into resignation and replacement by new fraudulent body doubles that get their salary for stealing from the world and covering up its syndicate. And there is Johnny Depp and the Peasel Fanny as he investigates the Jack the Ripper murders that were committed by the British Royal. That was Prince Eddie, who had to spend the rest of his life with blood on his hands in Glamis Castle. And that becomes Senator Geary in the Godfather movie, cutting the fanny out of his victim in the prostitution den, and on it goes. And the actress that plays the prostitute who is shagging Prince Eddie is Spacey in Gavin and Stacey. And on it goes, and that is the Jack the Ripper murders right next to Cheapside, and that is the little lady of Threadneedle Street, which is like the Fanny. Yeah, do you get it? Can you get it in there? And there is Gerald Cavendish Grosvenor underneath Taylor Swift, who's looking up at the Peasel Fannies as she sings Shake It Off. And there are the governors of Jamestown that are Gates. Yeah, they are Gottsheim when they're running the car companies and the death camps in Germania. Yeah, Gottsheim, and they are very close to the von Maltenitz families that are the Austrian nobility. You should see the fucking black cloud that has now come across the skies. Yeah, there's George Bush with the puppy, and he's George Herbert Walker Bush, and the Walker, Prescott Walker, and all of those families are linked into that David Davis syndicate, and he's resigned maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 18 months. None of them actually make a difference. All of them are Muppets. Right, and there are the Duke of Westminster and his bint that is the Lord Lieutenant of Northumberland, and she is a murderess with him, and she immediately, after they had launched the Poison Garden, which is depicted at the bottom right with the skull and bones for the warmongers, yeah, she is the Lord Lieutenant of Newcastle, and Lord Stevens of Kirkwhelpington is on the Bush bloodline further down. Yeah, and that is the Jeeves and Worcester bloodlines that you're learning about that are just the same story. And that's why Bill Gates got shame in the death camps, has had to step down, and all of it is totally evil. And there is Millard Fillmore looking just like the Baldwins of Hollywood. And there is Rupert Murdoch with George Bush, who he helped get elected. Governor Perseus the Poet, now of Alnwick Castle, murdered his brother and then launched the Poison Garden, so that they can have a laugh at the narcotics regulation that their chiefs of police use, and those chiefs of police are in the Worcester diaspora. There is Evita, she's in the presidential bloodlines. There is William Bradford and Dorothy May, née von Brazier, and those are the colleagues at Aylesbury Rugby Club of George, that massively fabulous Austro-Hungarian lineage that is Charlie. Only today did I learn that. And there's Bill Nye dancing with the Merry Christmas signs, and he's on the Worcester diaspora. And there's Theresa May, that is the sister by Adolf Hitler of Miss Merkel, in the Tavistock mind control team. And there is Macron, who's a Rothschild banker, and everybody that becomes a president in France is a Rothschild banker. And there's the sun god Saul, who's been completely neglected, until people like me come along and make a fuss about the mafia that have rejected him and his morals. And there is his crown of thorns on Joseph Alois Ratzinger's images. There's the alloys on the wheels. That is the people like Alois, Nail, that are named Alois. They are picked for greatness. And Nail was born James Michael Aloysius Bradford because he's on the Mayflower too. And that's the pie interest stories. And there is O'Brien and Osmond, and there is the need for the Osmonds in Hollywood. There is, he's from the windy city of Chicago, like Al Capone and like Madonna. And that's the Bay City Rollers, and there is the Osman Ottoman Emperor of Austro-Hungary, which is where Donald's wife and Mick Jagger are from. And there is Archbishop O'Brien, and no one's allowed to talk about him now. And there is our mate George Osborne and the syndicate that are all go back. So Donald and Hillary, pictured there, versus each other, pointing at the heavens. They are descended, both of them, from John of Gaunt. And that's Lancashire in England, where we started on the pictures. And that is the northwest of England, where the Railway Children and all of the William the Conqueror stories begin to make perfect sense now. And there are the executed Tsars, and all of the wealth on those boards that George Osborne is on has now gone to the families that are Lord Nathaniel Charles Jacob Rothschild, Mr. Timothy William Osborne, Ambassador Arthur Adair Hartman, Dr. Henry Alfred Kissinger, and there is the Nestle symbol for the Nestle affairs, and the Donnies and the Gaultiers that become billionaires because they're buffoons like Hillary and Donald. And George Osborne is quite smart, because even when he was the Chancellor, he used to get a bung from his mother, who makes floors and furnishings, and that is because of the tendencies of the Piso family relatives in Naples. And that is the naming of the family means floors too, which is why Guy Innes-Kerr lives in Floors Castle. And I can't even get a lightning strike for any of this. And there is the Quarterman family, for the letter Q for Worcester, that live in Cape Canaveral, and they were allowed to go to the moon for the war because the War Crimes Inquest Chair for America was Whitney Harris of Houston, and that's the killing of Whitney Houston. Yeah, and that is the jokes by Harris that he is an innocent man like Marcus Aurelius portrayed himself as in the movie. And there's the Quarterman families, and they're from High Wycombe, where I got one of my biggest concussions. And there is Julia Roberts, and I believe that we might get a lightning storm because the gods appear to hate the Robertian lineage. Yeah, that were the people that said after the Stammering King's speech, Bertie, just to let them know that it was us. And can you hear the wind howling? There is Alf Ramsey on the Worcester family mafia operation. Yeah, 4 Ramseys, 8 Redfords, and there is Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, all the president's men. And they've now taken his voice off the Brad Pitt film that is A River Runs Through It, featuring Jessie, the actress that is the harlot, that is, that's Jessie that is in the movie about being Betty Grable and getting your kit off and showing your knickers at every opportunity in public places. That is Jessius Florus, the nickname for Peel. Okay, and there is the Morgan Grenfell Towers, and the only thing you can find about the banking group now is that you're not allowed to know that Christopher Reeve was actually the name of a Mayflower passenger, but the really big ones were the bosses at the Morgan Grenfell Bank and the Bank of England, and that's the same bloke. And that's why Joyce Grenfell got a job in Hollywood. Oh no, it was Panorama Pictures or something in London. Okay, and there is Cecil Rhodes, and that's the Rhodes Trust and the London Olympics meeting in the Hotel Cecil so that they can plan eugenics in the 2 wars that are ahead of them, exactly 100 years before the London Olympics. And Julie Roberts is in the Know Nothings movie, and maybe that's why the gods don't like her, but I believe it will be stronger than that, and that she will be directly descended from William the Conqueror and the Robertian lineages that precede him in Frankish France. Yeah, can you hear it every time you mention them? The howling begins. And there are the Russells that run Tavistock, but there's only one of them so that they can't take the blame, and they now tell you that Tavistock was launched in 1947 after the war, and that is Tavistock that was used to train Hitler, Stalin, and not Roosevelt, because he's an educated man from America. Yeah, he's actually from Holland, and all of it is false religion. Who else is here? So there's Rogers, 10 of them on the diaspora. He might have turned good, because they are allowed to win football matches now. And there is Charles Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, who was buried under that pyramidal New World Order icon. And all of the religions are a mafia operation. Yeah, do you get it? They now claim that Russell that launched Tavistock and trained Theresa May, yeah, and trained Miss Merkel, and trained the woman that is the president of Lithuania. There were dozens of people, all of them are Hitler Rothschild's children, from the Mind Control Institute that launched the master plan to kill everybody on this earth that is innocent in the wars that they engineer. So do you get it? This Rhodes linkage, and that is De Beers, and then Jackie O marries Templesman of De Beers, and there is Chief Master Mason Sir Alfred Ernest Ramsay of England football. Yeah, and all of the Chief Master Masons, please look at my videos on those topics, and you'll see that the Stammering King and Winston Churchill, all of them are Chief Master Masons, and all of that is the owning of world by secret societies and fascists, and none of it can be controlled by the police, even although Lord Condon is on the listings. Yeah, remember, he's the one that declared Diana's killing to be a fatal accident. Here's the ones that we did not get round to: Sage, Salient, Salter, Spicer, yeah, and that is Tim Spicer, that, and all of them are colleagues of Khashoggi, and he's still in the news every night at the moment, because they want you to believe that he was murdered, not that he was the fundraiser to bring down the Twin Towers, and he went to the La Rosey School in Switzerland that Kaiser Bill and the Rothschilds attended. Saunders, two of them, Salter, Sharple, Skerman, Skinner, and Slater, and all my friends in my hometown. Stanton of Hibs, four of them. Styles, Sutherland, only one. Swift, four of them. Taylor, they become the presidents. Soper, Saunter, Simpson, three of them. Seal, Shutt, Sherwin, Shepherd, yeah, the actor in try and become, on there's Townsend, five of them on the listings: Tranter, Tullett, Turner, Twitchen, Twyman, Taylor, Tharp, Thatcher, only one, Thomas, Teesdale, Temple, let's get there's Upham. Yeah, do you get it? Butcher Jones, and Jones is massive. Violentcourt, and that is one of the Forbes billionaires. She's Billancourt, and she's just shortened her name to become the woman that is she now does the cooking programs as a competition. That's Biancourt, and it's Mary Berry. Yeah, they are the Forbes Rich listers, and all of them descend from Bertie Wooster's mafia. Vincent Brooks, Veitch, yeah, Vincent, Veal, 9 of the bastards. And there is Warren, only one. Waterstones, the Posh book outlet. Wainwright, and that is the Wainwright that is the business friend of George Bailey that bails him out when he gets robbed by the mob. Yeah, and that is Wakefield, Walden, Wales, Jimmy Wales, yeah, on the Worcester Syndicate, and there are Williamses, 7 of them. Robbie, descended from William the Conqueror, de Normandy and de Norway. Yeah, Woodcroft, Woodford, yeah, the Woodfords, what they were famous for was that the boss at the Washington Post, yeah, Walker, and the people that are the Bush family Walker hyphenated syndicate. And there are Spice Girls that are a combination of two of the family names that is Wanabee, Wabby. You get it? And that is the Spice Girls with the Rolls Royce, and that is why they're making a comeback, because they're in the Worcester fascist mafias. Wanabee, and there are the families that create that. Wabby and Warren and Wade and Wadham and Wainwright, yeah, and Wanabee. Do you get it? W. Abbey. And there they are in all their greatness in the fucking roller. And there's a Y, which means that we've only got little Emily to declare. Yeah, and that is the sun god's replacement, that is Yah and Jesus. And Young invented anesthetics, and paraffin was discovered by Young in the Lothian Valley. And there is little Emily with her fascist friend from Germany that is that is Steerforth, yeah, from the master race country that is Austro-Hungary. And there is Young, and it never really occurred to me that she also could be the Knights that say knee. Anyway, that's us down to the bottom. Isn't it interesting? And what is this? Oh yeah, there's the story about Kennedy and Churchill and bootlegging. And that is the Queen of England's father, and that is Bill Clinton's father, and that is Princess Margaret's father, and on it goes. And that is Joseph, and that is the dad of Kennedy that was assassinated by him, and his Permindex operation run by him and Beaverbrook. I think I'll stop there now. Yeah, quite evil, and all of it's allowed to go on, and all of them are picked for Prime Minister. Yeah, right into the revelation that Theresa May is a Tavistock mind control muppet. Yeah, and that's got them in a spin now, and even Donald is proclaiming that he's not feeling too well, like Stephen Fry, who plays Jeeves and is the cross-dresser, often has to do. Yeah, I think we'll close there. And there is Melchett, and that is Aurelian Hugh Laurie, yeah, who gave this job as a cross-dresser to Jeeves. Yeah, he plays Worcester. And let me show you what Worcester is actually picked for. Where was that picture? Well, I will show you them all again. Yeah, that's the one with the safe houses that gets to tour around the Parliament building just as I come back from New Zealand, because she has a big role to play in my life, both in Granton-on-Spey and in Dundee. Not yet met her here. And there, yeah, it's a massive mafia up. Right then, and what else was there? There is Cressida Dick, the Chief of Police. She's not actually the Chief of Police, because that is actually the Queen of England, is the head of the Met Police. Even when Lord Condon was pretending that he's a law enforcer, and he's not, in fact, stealing from the London Olympics, using G4S as his mechanism, and using all of the car parking scams that he runs as a director, like he is at G4S. Yeah, and they get all of the transporting things for his prisoners, and prisoner is named after Piso, like the polis. Yeah, and let me show you why Prince Harry, Cressida, Prince Harry. Yeah, everything that is in the news before he changed his lugs. Yeah, well, they might not have that up now. Prince Harry's ex Cressida Bona's posts. Yeah, that's Cressida Bona, which is the name of the Piso wives for Arius Calpurnius. Piso. Quite a primitive existence that they now live. Yeah, all of them fascists, all of them on the take. And Mike Tyndall and his wife are by far the most innocent people in this story, at least as far as I'm aware. Yeah, and all of it is she is massively linked through that linkage to that fishing gilly to Arius Piso's bloodline in Naples. And all of the secrets of those stories are part of the Railway Children cover-ups and the Lubavitch families that came across and introduced banking to the Jews in London under the orders of William the Conqueror. Right then, so do you want to see Cressida again? There she is. Quite a good looking woman compared to the mind control colleagues of Theresa May. Yeah, and that is the Bonas that are Bona Iona and is the nickname for the Queen of England. Yeah, and that is Prince Harry with his new ears on, yeah, after the wedding. You can see the top half of the ear is red and plasticky and is flapping like a wingnut. I think we'll stop there. Yeah, because she's up to duck. And her colleague, let me show you, her colleague in the love life of him is also up to duff. And that is the covers for Haley Island and all the stories in the War Dead stories, and that is the Isle of Wight, where Queen Victoria's only legitimate child was murdered by Edward VII, but not on the Isle of Wight. The murder took place in Portugal. Ex Cressida Bonus writes, and let me now show you. So Cressida Dick was the head of the Met Police, which is why he dated a Cressida after the London bombings released Cressida Dick into the news for the first time. And then he dates Ellie Goulding, and she's up the duff now. And goodness knows he's going to pay for that. But they could just get rid of her through the Tavistock freezer system. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, one of his early lovers. Yeah, if you don't believe me, there she is. All of it is the cover for other bigger events in world history at the same time. Yeah. And he's got new ears, and all of them are prepared to get the facelifts, like the people that are in the Bertie Wooster syndicate, that are the children and in-laws of the Piso families that are Lord Montgomery. Yeah, she is married to Montgomery's relatives, and that is Catty K at the White House news event. And Montgomery is the mountain from the molehill, and that is the killing of all of the troops all along the North African coast. Yeah, and that is the North African coast that has the world's oil wealth. Yeah, mountain from a molehill. Oh, and the Goslings are reminding me that I'm not really doing my job. Yeah, that's the Gosling banks in Hamburg. Yeah, the Berenberg banking groups that within the space of a few days are no longer traceable on the internet. Yeah? So, signing off. I could show you. No, we better not do that in case we ever try to publish this. And have you heard of Montgomery in world history before? It's absolutely mountainous, and all of them are the nicknames like Pelham in P.G. Wodehouse for the man that was Arius, Copernicus, Piso. And I don't think you'll see him nowadays in downtown Brooklyn, but nothing would be surprise me. Arius, Copernicus, Piso. Yeah, the author of the Bible and the ancestor of all of the world's most murderous and rich bloodlines. And you can see how much time I've put into it. That image is mine, that is their swastika, and that is the rotary blades for my wife's Rotary Club and Probus Club family, and there is the same on the Catholic symbol for the black popes, and that is the families that are absolutely massive, but that story I'll tell you another day. Okay, that is the man, yeah, and that is the man that is now yeah, Arius Piso. His nicknames are absolutely mountainous, and Montanus was one of them. Yeah, that's the mountain from a molehill that is Christianity. Biggest cause of death, and I doubt that you would frequently see those pair in a church, because they learn at the Dragon School that Jesus never lived, like Cressida Dick and all of the other people in the photo. Oh no, sorry, it's that one, and back we go. Same bloodlines right through, or the cover-up for the killing of the people that were the legitimate claimants and the committers of the massacres and the London bombings. And this one's relatively innocent, but at the same time as he was robbing the children of this country blind as the boss at Oxford University, which was immune from bombing, yeah, that's Lord Patton invited this one to tour House of Commons and House of Lords, and I'm not exactly sure of what the motives are, but she went to the same school as Cressida Dick to learn from Southeast Asia that Jesus never lived. And there's the Dragon School in Oxford that teaches them that. And Oxford and Cambridge were immune from bombing in World War II. And let me now just find you the picture of Bertie Wooster. There he is. Yeah. Beginning and end, a mafia op. Pelham is the nickname, and he is a chief master mason like the Stammering King and Winston Churchill. Signing off. Woodhouse, Pelham, Grenville, PG. Yeah, and all of his stories are comedies, and all of them reflect the importance of Arius Calpurnius Piso. Yeah, his name Piso translates to vagina, which is why he calls the vagina lettuce in the story. Yeah, the soggy lettuce. Right then, signing off. Sorry. Chief Master Mason, Mafia operative, and all of it is just the same as George W. Scherffs' diaspora into America. And let me show you again where I started off on this. Two videos. There are the other relatives of the president that is Bush. Okay, all of it a massive pistic. Zorg, Oldman, Zor, Zang, Clara Ritz, Wilhelm Scherff, Anna Maria Ney Decker, Caspar Decker. Yeah, and on and on. Yeah, Goldman Sachs, Gary Oldman, BAFTA winner for playing Winston Churchill, and World Economic Forum, yeah, people that pretend that they were not as double agents released from the death camps to become America's most sinister people. Yeah, and there are the sinister people at the bottom that are the residents and incumbents of the White House. We could maybe do it on that one, but that's a bit riskier. Yeah, and there's Cosmo Lang from the Stammering King story, and those are the people that the Woosters followed into America. Kaiser Wilhelm, Queen Victoria, there he is on her lap as her grandson, and he at the beginning of World War I was the head of the British Navy, yeah, in the place where I was interviewed twice by Baroness Blackstone, that is Greenwich. He was at the head of the British Navy within 12 days of the declaration of war against his granny. Yeah, and that is the Greenwich where the Krupp's munitions factory was and the Siemens munition factory was, right up to the beginning of the war. Yeah, Stammering King coronated by him, and there is the Kaiser with his granny, and there are Gabriel and Anton Decker on the jokes. Yeah, and the family tree. Anyway, let's sign off. And my name's George Lees, by the way, and this is a massive declaration how big fascism is all across the world, even today. Right then, off we go. Yeah, did you get it? And she, 9 of her 11 babies were Rothschild bastards.